Hello. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different, which is I'm going to show you something that was inspired by beads that came from this John Bead Curiosities box. And this is from the John Bead Curiosities box number 15, which was their Halloween box, which, oh, I think the card is on the bottom here, so I'm not going to show you, but it comes with a lovely card and a sticker and all kinds of things. But if you want to watch an unboxing of this, I recommend that you head over to Baby Squirrel Beading. Now, Emma over there is the one who has put me onto this box. She's the one who brought it to my attention. And it's my first subscription box. I've never had a subscription box before. And I'm just really enjoying it. It's putting sort of new beads into my stash, things I wouldn't normally perhaps buy myself. So it's causing me to stretch and come up with new ideas and innovate. So anyways, that's the Curiosities box. And what I was working with from that box today are these beads here. And, I normally, and aren't they lovely? Like, look at how beautiful this like seafoam green is. There's beautiful glass beads. And you can see they're kind of like a little transparent, a little bit stripy. I mean, just so beautiful. There are so many beautiful things in this box. So if you want to see what's in that box, like I say, go over to Emma's channel, Baby Squirrel. I'll put it in the description. And Baby Squirrel Beading. And check out, all the good stuff that comes in this box. But today, anyway, I'm dealing with what do I do with these beads? And I thought, what would go really nice with this is silver. Like, I'd love to see silver with this color. And so I'll show you what I've been working on. Let's get those out of the way. I thought I would put together this bracelet. Now, because I'm also like, what do I do with it with, a bead hole that is this big? So I kind of came up with this idea of, well, what if I, kind of create a chain link, like something like this, beaded, chain link, basically, that I bead into two of these beads and then connect these links. Because once I beaded something through those holes, it wasn't like there was enough to bead through the next two holes. So I kind of had this object here, just this bead with a circle through it, and I'm like, well, what do I do with this? And so this is what I came up with. And here I'm just connecting the circles with these delica beads here, a band of these delicas. This is just brick stitch, and this is just a peyote stitch. And I'll demonstrate that now, because I'm going to make another one of these links, and I will attach it to this bracelet. Let's get started. So in addition to these beads that, yeah, I mean, I didn't get an inventory when it came to what are these beads exactly, but I suppose you could do this with any bead that had a hole that was bigger or the same size as what I have here, which is, gee, it looks like this is almost, yep, looks like this is a 4mm hole. So if you have a bead with a 4mm hole, you can use this kind of technique on those beads too. And I've seen some lovely like lamp work beads that are kind of like this too. I don't know if these might be made that way. I'm not sure how they're manufactured, but they are lovely. And I wanted to think of something to honor their beauty. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do here. So, right, I've just got, I think this is a size 11 beading needle, and I've just got some Nymo thread. That's what I'm using. Whoops, upside down. That's what's on my needle. And let's get started then. So I'm just going to pick up, oh, right, sorry, I should have said, I'm using 3 kinds of galvanized silver. They're all Miyuki beads. This first one is Miyuki 11-0 galvanized silver, and a 15-0 galvanized silver, and finally 11-0 delicas in galvanized silver as well, DB35. Okay, so if you need to source those for whatever your large hole bead is, and you want to do exactly what I'm doing here, those are the materials. I'm going to put 42 of these 15-0 galvanized silver beads on my needle now. And then I'll just bring all of those down. And I'm going to, and now this is where the sort of trick comes in a little bit, where we have to tie them through these beads that we're going to be putting the link through. And so I'm just going to tie a double knot here. And probably not too tight, right? Because if we're going to do peyote stitch here, we don't want it to be too tight. Just a little bit of give there, I think. And so we'll start by just doing peyote stitch all the way around here. And part of, I won't lie, this turns out to be like a little bit awkward because you've got these 2 beads in the way the whole time that you're doing this. So I sort of found that you can kind of hold them off to one side and maybe with your fingernail kind of push the beads that you're trying to do your peyote stitch with. Actually, let's go through one here. Get away from the knot. And move the tail out of the way. And just start in with our peyote here. And I hope you can see this. I'm just going to check the monitor here. Now, it's probably actually a little, it'd be good if I zoomed in, wouldn't it? There we go. Yeah, so like I say, if you can kind of, here, let me try and get this better and more into frame. If you can just kind of push those 2 beads behind your thumb and then push the loop forward with your thumbnail, you might find this easier. And that's kind of how I made my way through this. Another possibility is to, I don't know if you've seen this, about this kind of initial peyote stitch, but you could also do a round of right angle weave and then just tie that round of right angle weave in the same way, just feed it through these two big beads and then tie it. But I'm just doing it this way here so that you can see just the sort of standard peyote stitch way of doing this. While you're doing this, you're going to be feeding your work into these beads as you go. And, you know, to keep feeding it through, if you just sort of pull down a little bit on your work, it can kind of work towards pulling it through those big beads. Oh, I guess we're almost there because we're coming up on that annoying tail. And I mean, whatever your beads are, you might want to make sure that, I mean, in the case of these beads, actually, I'll give you the rest of the dimensions for these beads in a minute so that you have them. Okay, so I just want to make sure I complete this round properly. Go in there. And now I think that's it. That's my, I think I've completed my round there. That's right. So I'm going to step up. Hope you can see that. Just going to step up. And now the next round is going to be delicas. Now, I'm just going to get that tail out of the way and then just go through and do a round of delicas now. And you're just placing them between those 15 O's. Nice and easy, just a plain peyote stitch. Popping them in between the 15 O's. All the way around. And here actually I'm finding that I can just hold on to the beads and my work is standing kind of out enough that I can just do my peyote stitch easily here. So yeah, I mean, it was nice to get this Curiosities box because I wouldn't have thought to work with beads of this size with this size of hole. And it forced me to just think, like, this is a beautiful thing. These beads are gorgeous. I love their color. What can I do with them? And this is what I came up with. Now, what I want to do is I want to do a round of peyote on this side, or two rounds of peyote on this side and this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my second round while I'm here, because I think that will be easier than navigating back and forth. If you wanted to keep things even, more even maybe, you could track over here and you could put your row of peyote in there now. But I think I'm gonna try this. This is an experiment, because when I did the other ones, I actually did go back and forth, but we'll see if there's a downside to doing it this way. And if there isn't, then, you know, it's always easier to just not have to migrate your needle over someplace if you don't have to. Oh, and by the way, this will start to, you know, it will start to be a little, it'll fill up that hole, but, you know, if you have to move it through or squish it through, go ahead and do that. Yeah, my preference is not to do huge amounts of peyote stitch, but, you know, every once in a while I don't mind a project. It's okay if I can listen to something while I'm doing it, but I guess the downside of these videos is, I suppose, if I want to narrate or I want to talk to you guys while I'm doing it, I can't be listening to a podcast or music or whatever while I do this. And that is kind of a disadvantage to sharing my ideas with you, I guess, is my sort of my happy place for beading is to be beading and listening to the radio, an audio book, just something going in my ears while I'm doing this. I wonder, actually, maybe you guys can tell me in the comments, what do you like to do while you're beading? Do you just sit there and mull things over? Do you listen to a podcast? Do you listen to an audio book? What's your favorite pastime or thing to sort of fill the air? Or do you not like to fill the air while you're beading? Okay, and so now here we are. We've come 2 rounds, and now I'm going to go over here to the inner round. And so probably the best way to get over there, I'm coming out of here. I'm just going to go into this 15-0. Great, I'm catching on stuff off screen. I think my scissors just fell on the ground. Okay. And then I'm going to go from here into this 15-0. I'll just do it one at a time. I'll stop getting ambitious. Oh, no. Okay, and I'm going to go up into that 15-0. So I just basically followed the thread path. Oh my Lord. It's okay, so it's getting hooked on now, my nylon tip pliers. Fantastic. Okay, so now I'm here and I can just start doing my peyote stitch on the inner ring. I've also got my Optivisor on so that I can see my way through these tiny beads. It does get to be a little bit of an eye strain after a while, so I really like the Optivisor because it magnifies the beads and it's not as difficult to do this when I can really see everything at a decent size. So can't recommend enough, especially for this kind of work, getting a magnifier of some sort. So much easier on the eyes. And as you can see, it starts to get, it's a little snug, but it's nothing you can't squish through that 4mm hole. And you just move it out of your way as you need in order to make your way around the circle, adding your row of peyote. Okay, and we're almost there. Okay, and so now we're almost there, and I'm going through that 15-0, placing the last delicate bead of the round, and now I'm stepping up into that delicate bead, and it's time for round 2. Okay, so yeah, so I'm coming out of here, and I'm going to do another round of peyote now. So it's 2 on each side, and then we're going to join them up. And again, that was 42 beads in the initial round, 42 15-0 seed beads. But I mean, when you're done, it's kind of neat. You've got this thing, this relationship between these beads that cannot be undone. Well, I mean, I guess you can. and yeah, and so this is going to get a little tight, but just move them out of your way as you make your way around. And I actually have to give a shout out to Off the Beaded Path. I think her name is Kelly, who actually is the one whose pattern here I'm following. So I'll put a link to that in the description. Because I'm just straight up using her method here. I think the method of sewing up a peyote ring is pretty straightforward, but when I was looking around, I found her video and I thought, oh, yeah, that looks about right. Maybe I'll try that. So, yeah, I'll put a link to that in the description too. Now, she didn't she didn't have these two big beads to work with while she was making her circle, but or ring. But it is entirely possible to do it with these bigger beads around the ring as you work. And I am here to prove it. Now we are in a position to step up. And at this point, now where's my bead scoop there? I'm going to bring down the 11-ohs because that's what, or the 11-oh just regular seed beads, because that's what we're going to use next. Okay, so I'm just going to start applying these now in between each of the spaces between these delicas all the way around. And again, you just kind of work that bead, the big beads out of your way as you go. Yeah, if you're in Canada, I highly recommend the John Bead Curiosities Box. It's really good value, I think, for the money. They give you lots and lots of beads, beautiful beads. And if you're looking for something to just kind of jolt you out of your beading rut, having somebody else curate a collection for you is a really great way. And it's not like it comes with patterns. So it's not like, it comes and then it's just sort of do this other thing that somebody else has got a vision for. You've got all these new materials and you have to kind of think, oh great, like what should I do with all this stuff? And so that's, why I'm here doing this now. Because I thought these little green beads are nice. What am I going to do with them? So here we are. Okay, and so now we're going to zip this up. Can I go in even more? Not that much. That's too much. But I wonder, like, is that, how about that? Unfortunately, this is going to be hard to see just because it's silver. And I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that because this is just what I'm making. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're coming out of this bead. You're going to go over to the other side and you're going to pick up the delica that's there. And then you're going to go through the next 11-oh seed bead. So you've got 11-oh seed bead, delica, 11-oh seed bead. Okay? And you're just going to go along zipping things up. And I will put a link to the Off the Beaded Path. And so we're now just picking up a delica, going into the 11. I'll put a link to the Off the Beaded Path video that explains how to make one of these rings. And that way you can see it done, with contrasting beads because this is not ideal. But it is what I'm doing with these beads. So that I've, you know, it's just, I'm just sort of putting this out there because this is a little project I'm doing. And I thought, who knows, maybe there's somebody out there that might be interested. So might as well put it out there. So again, just zipping these up, 2 sides, sewing them together, Delica to 11/0, like that. And you see that it's really turning into a proper link. Okay, so there it is. I've gotten all the way around, and we have another one of our little links that we can add to the bracelet. And the next thing that I'll show you is how I attach these two. I think that'll be the next thing that we'll do. I'll just finish this off and then come back and show you this piece and how I do this. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I do the connection between the two links. So, yeah, and it's just simple brick stitch. So what I do is I get 3 beads on my needle like so. I bring them down and I go through the first bead, and I'm just hanging on to my tail. I get them so that they're arranged in a little T, like that. So I've just put 3 on my needle and then gone back down through the first one and then just arranged them like that. Can you see? There. And then I just take one on my needle and I hold on to it and just feed that next one up like that. And then hang on to it and take another on my needle, another Delica. These are all size 11 Delicas, right? I think I said that at the beginning. And then just come down, and it's just this like constant zigzag back and forth until I have 20. So that's 3 and 20. So then you have this little strip of 2 rows of brick stitch. So I've fed them through like this, and then I'm just going to connect them together next. And I'll do that in just a second. Okay, so before doing this, I wanted to just weave in the tail. So I did that. I just went back and forth and you know, made sure it was secured in there. Because you don't really want that tail falling apart while you're trying to do this next step. So I recommend that you weave in that tail too. But I also thought you don't really need to watch me do that. So I just feed it through one of the links like this. And I'll warn you, this is a little bit fiddly. I don't even know how well this is going to be something I can demo. But you want to just like feed your needle up through there so that you can get it like this is what you want, right? You want to connect these two links together. So what you're going to do is, I'm just going to bring this up here. You want to, I don't know if you can see this, but these two ends fit together nicely. So I'm just going to come down this side here, like so. And then down into this bead here. Like basically we're just trying to, and then up through here. So you're just trying to stitch these two sides together, right? And once you've stitched them together, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is a little bit of an awkward thing to do brick stitch with, okay? So, but you just muddle through, because what choice do you have? Okay, so I'm just coming up through this hole here. Go to the next thread bridge and just go underneath it to prepare yourself for the next row of brick stitch, which is what we're going to start now. So I'm just going to take 2 delicas on my needle, and then I'm going to go back under that thread bridge that I was coming out of, and I'm just going to sit these guys up nicely, if they want to. There we go. Okay, so now now if I go under the next thread bridge there, there we go, go under there, and then come up through this one. We sort of secure it in place. And now I can take the next delica on my needle and go down under that next thread bridge and then up through that delica and put it in place. Whoops. I think I've managed to hook myself around my work here. And there we go. And then we've put the next one in place. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up another delica, and I'm going to go under the next thread bridge and come up through that same bead. There we go. And now our row is starting to form. Go under that next thread bridge and come up through the delica. And then you're just going to have to kind of keep rotating this thing around until you're done. Just go all the way around, adding these, and then all I did was exactly what I did in this row to start the next row. So then you've just got 4 rows, right? And that's really all I did. So, okay, I'm just going to show you the simpler way of doing this. And that is, sorry, I've got a very bent needle here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So you can see my peyote attempts here. Right, let's focus. There we go. I'm just getting 4 beads. We want to do peyote stitch so that we have rows that are 4 long. So I'm actually gonna start this way. So let's go into that one. There we go. And I'm gonna pick up another, and we're gonna go into this one here. Skip one, pick up one. Okay, so there we've got 2 rows, I think. Three. I guess what I'm going to do is I'll consider 1, 2, 3. This will be 3, right? So heading into our 3rd now, because we want 3 on each edge. And this will be much easier than the other way that I was doing it. So I recommend that you don't go through the painful process that I went through, trying to do it the brick stitch way. I always forget that what you do brick stitch, you can do like brick stitch horizontally, you can do peyote vertically. So, and sometimes this is just a lot easier. I mean, I suppose you could have done the brick stitch too and then just joined the whole thing. I don't know why I was making it so hard on myself by doing 2 rows of brick stitch while I was joined around all that stuff. Probably it had gotten into my head that I needed to do it that way because I did have to do it that way with those beads. I did. There was no way around that. But that got me in the mindset of doing it the hard way, I guess. Okay, so how many do I have here now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this will be 20, which is what we want. Okay, so there you have it. And it's very much like what we have there. And in this case, I just want to attach it around here. But you see how you could just also attach it through another link, and then you would just stitch up these ends, zip them up together. So that's another way that you can do this. That would be much easier. And as you can tell, there's no difference really between that and our brick stitch. So I highly recommend you do it that way and not my hard way. Okay, so we have our 20 rows of peyote here. And you could see that, I'm just going to bring this around so that you could see how this would work. But if you wanted to join 2 links together, right, you would just, a little bit awkward. Let's see. Let's feed that through there, and let's feed this through here. Okay. So all you would do to link these 2 together which, you know, they could be also two of these bead links, right? And then you would just stitch together this peyote. I'm just going to zoom in a bit so that you could see what that would be like. Let's zoom out a tiny bit. There. So this is like brickwork here, and this side, let's see, one side will interlace very nicely with the other side. You'll kind of see like it's like puzzle pieces. One will fit into the other side. It's a little bit awkward to hold it so that I can show you, but there it is. So you would just like one side becomes the bead that fits in the space on the other side. Okay, now I'm just going to zoom out a bit. But as you can see, right, like there's no difference between this and this. So it doesn't matter if you do brick stitch or you do peyote, right? Like it's going to be, it's going to look the same. And this other method is way easier than that other silly method that I showed you where, you know, that I suffered through like how many times here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times I did it the silly way. Okay. And anyway, now I have to decide how I'm going to put this toggle on. What I was thinking I was going to do was, you know, okay, and I don't know if I went over how I made this, which was just 18 delica beads and 5 rows of peyote. And then I just kind of rolled it up, kind of like I showed you here, and then just stitch it up. And then you get this little guy. So what I was going to do was actually make this a loop, like everything else has been a loop, and then just sort of stitch this toggle piece inside, because I thought, oh, maybe that would be more consistent looking. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this sort of together and attach it to the toggle. So I'm just going to kind of sew these two, well, I'll complete the loop, but then I'll sew the two sides together, and then I will take that edge and I will sew it into the center of this to complete my toggle. And maybe it's good for me to show you too how to attach these two ends to one another. So I'll just go ahead and do that. It's probably going to be a little messy, I'm just warning you, because of course now I'm trying to thread my needle on camera. Right, so I've got it around this already. And then I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see this. Let's focus. There we go. And so hopefully you can see here, this will be a good demonstration of how the two sides fit together. And again, I apologize for the silver, but if I'm sharing this project with you, unfortunately, just the aesthetic choice I made was, hey, I like the way silver looks. So my thread is coming out of this one. And now I don't know if you can appreciate it, but this is sort of an indent here, whereas this is kind of coming out. So the two can fit together. And we're just going to zip this up. I'm going to go back and forth, zipping this thing together. And then I'm going to come back down here. And we should have completed that. You can kind of pull both ways, and you see that we've basically zipped this together. Oh, here, you can, this is coming apart, so you can see how who didn't reinforce this well enough? So this is how this was. It was just a piece of peyote like this. And then I folded it over and then just went back and forth, you know, zipping it up. But naturally, I don't want to do that with the thread that's on my work there. So I'm just going to pull that out. But that's how that works. So that's actually kind of nice that that came apart, because we can use it to demonstrate how that's actually put together. Okay, so I basically decided not to bother walking through the toggle creation, because this was a little bit of a bespoke arrangement. You know, it's sort of specific to this bracelet and this situation. So I'm not going to bother with walking through exactly what I did here. I'll just give a quick kind of guide through what happened, which was I did stitch this this band, and it actually stops right here. And it was just a band there without the toggle piece on it. And I stitched that together so that it's kind of double thick. And then I grafted or stitched the bar onto it here. And I just sort of did that a little bit more by eye than anything else. And when you roll up one of these peyote tubes, there's a hole down the center. And I found two of these lovely little bicones that really matched. I mean, you couldn't get a better match than that for that green glass. So I just put those on the ends of the toggle. And I'm actually really pleased with how this came out. I think it's a nice little bracelet. There's the way it looks when it's all, oh, I twisted it around. Whoops. There we go. And this is what it looks like when it's not twisted around. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how that came out, actually. I think it's quite an attractive little piece. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. Anyway, so this video was really more for, I guess, people who are getting this John Bead Curiosities box, and specifically for people who got it this month, so they could see and maybe be inspired by, you know, what somebody else saw in these little green beads. You know, I know that I would find it helpful to see what other people are doing with theirs. So there you have it. I hope this was in some way interesting or helpful or whatever, fun for people. Leave any comments, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.